It's v.h.s.x. What do you mean?
Alright everybody, welcome back to a brand new video. Today I wanted to do a little bit of a forum discussion video, which I thought would be an interesting discussion. Because this one says, can't make a single mistake in this game. Which really piqued my interest, because usually this is something that you hear from a killer player that's going against very competent teams on a regular basis. And it's been discussed quite frequently, especially in like killer space, like just spaces and things like that. It seems like you make a mistake and it's just gonna cost you the game a lot of ways. And a lot of the times it does. There's always like a pivotal moment that allows you to end up just like literally losing the game as a result. So I wanted to go ahead and discuss this one. So it says, I know this is going to sound like a skill issue post, but hear me out before you type just loop better. Which right off the bat, I'm going to say right now, it is a skill issue post, and you should loop better, but that's besides the point. And to be fair, like, there are resources to do this, by the way. Like, you know, I know that's a running, like, meme to go, just loop better, you know, and then, like, they like to cry about it. But there are resources to do that. Like, there are many videos from Survivor mains that actually post videos on how to do that. Mr. Taterhead, I think, comes to mind as one of the best to do it. Like, I think one of the best in order to show you each map in a very like intricate, breaking it down perfectly. Even when I was playing Survivor, I was studying those videos to like kind of get used to different map spawns, understand how to like kind of loop better overall. So there are resources to do that. I have to say, I think that the refusal to look at those resources then boils down to the person. I think that becomes a you problem at the end of the day. That is the way to do it, I guess, in that sense. So they say, it feels like Dead by Daylight has slowly turned into a game where you're allowed exactly 0 mistakes, which I would say is more applicable for the killer side, as, you know, considering you are one person, and if you do make a mistake, you're going to see the result very, very quickly. Especially if you are going against competent teams and Swifts and things like that that want to win. Like, you're gonna end up seeing that you do, say, miss a hit or like right before you need it to, like, need them to go down, or you be able to do this, that, and the third. You're gonna end up making a mistake and probably losing. And this is more applicable to like the mid tiers, the low tiers, and stuff like that. You know, a character like maybe like in the higher tiers probably has less of a chance for that to be super dramatic. But it is still a thing. And it says, like, if you make one, the match is basically decided. So they say, miss a single mind game at a pallet downed. So right off the bat, I want to quickly pause for a moment and really bring up a point. I think that a common misconception, I think this comes from just like Survivor content on around Dead by Daylight, is the fact that they think that they should be able to be looping for 5 gens straight. And now the thing is that, you know, a little you know, pull behind the curtain like some Wizard of Oz. You know, content creators are most likely going to tank their MMR in order to get these kinds of matches for their games, because it's more entertaining to have a killer that's making a ton of mistakes and being able to loop them than it is for a killer to do extremely well and that creator getting insta-downed, basically, because of how good the player, the killer player is. And so even within the killer community content, it's a lot of like casual players on killer or brand new players on killer, people trying to practice on killer, that are getting clipped basically because they make a mistake and stuff like that, or make many mistakes in chase and stuff like that, and it ends up leading to a lot of ego chasing and things like and other stuff like that, and you know, paired with a lot of, you know, memes and cuts and sound effects and all this kinds of stuff, and the Taco Bell bong and all these other things, just to really add a little bit of quote unquote entertainment to the content. But I do think that it is not it is not, what do you call it, like, accurate, I guess, of the game. And I think that that's just a very big common misconception that is popularized by a lot of those creators, because it says suddenly the killer has pressure everywhere, which is not exactly accurate. And it says, what's weird is that the game looks forgiving on paper. Second chances, perks to give info, exhaustion perks, anti-tunnel tools. which is accurate. You can, because it's not even like, well, I can't say on paper is accurate, but it is accurate. Like, you have 3 other people that can pick up your slack. You have the fact that there's all of these perks that exist that cause those things to work well. And the thing is that they continue to say that, but in practice, none of that matters if you mess up once at the wrong time, which means, sure, like, that's how games work. Like, if I'm playing any video game ever, if I make a mistake at the wrong point, you're going to, like, something's going to happen. If I'm playing a fighting game and I miss I miss input and I drop my combo, and then bro picks up the combo and then I get killed, hey, I made a mistake. I lose. Like, that's how that works. If I'm playing a shooter and I miss like a couple of shots that could have potentially allowed for a headshot and maybe got the kill, that's on me. I should have aimed better. You know what I mean? If I am playing an RPG and I didn't understand, like, you know, my move would do this amount of damage or something because they have a certain resistance that I didn't pay attention to, that's my fault. Or I was under leveled, that's my fault, right? You know, you name it. Like, you can come up with any example. That's how games work. So are we like coming from a perspective of never playing a video game ever? Like, I mean, even the most basics of basics, like if you're playing a platformer like Super Mario or, like, you know, on the NES, like basic of basics, like any platformer, like you mispress your jump, you're gonna fall in the pit. Like, that's just how it works. I don't understand how this is like a point. Like, oh, if I mess up at the wrong time, like, yeah, like that's how that works. When they say like bad chase early, the killer snowballs, which is not always true. So it's killers have it rough, miss a hit, respect wrong pallet, commit for 2 seconds too long, and 3 gens pop, and you're the bad guy for not applying pressure. The bad guy, no, but the killers will. I mean, yeah, no, the killers will understand you. The survivor players will just call you bad and not have ever played the game. Both sides are basically walking on a tightrope, except one tiny slip feels way more punishing than it should in a party game. But they're trying to imply that survivor is too punishing. It's like, no, you have enough. Like, I don't think you need any more. Like, you already have unhook endurance for 15 seconds and haste. You have, on top of not only that for base kit, you have an additional, like, you have additional base kit reassurance that's for each hook state. So you have even more time to be saved. You know what I mean? Like, unbreakable exists as well. When if one person has unbreakable, you can make a comeback, right? Decisive strike is a general perk now. Like, that's a thing. Like, you don't have to buy that. Like, it's completely free. And I'm pretty sure Dead Hard is also on David, who's a free character as well. Like, there's a lot of options. You know what I mean? There's a lot of options. They just a lot of people just refuse to use it. They say the frustrating part is that improvement doesn't always feel rewarding. If you're saying it for killer, maybe. For survivor, no. You can play a chase really well for 40 seconds, make one tiny error, and invalidates everything you did right before that. Well, the thing is with that, obviously, is that you're not like, you're gonna go down eventually. Like, I think that people have the wrong understanding of how this game works and how survivor works. Like, you're going to go down eventually. That's how it works. The game's not designed for you to loop infinitely. It's just not. They're saying, I'm not saying the game should be brainless or mistakes shouldn't matter. They should, but right now it feels like the consistency is valued more than creativity or adaptation. I disagree. Like I said, there's resources out there that can teach you all these things. There are many perks that you can utilize as well, and there's different things you can try. I'm just saying. You're not allowed to experiment, take a risk, or try something different unless you're okay with during the entire match. That's not entirely true. For Survivor, I would say. Because I do think that there's plenty of like, I mean, keep in mind that, like, we can use Mr. Taterhead as an example. Like, he went and used no perks for like years, I believe, and he is looping extremely well, right? He can tell you how to loop things correctly with no perks. You don't need perks, and I've been even saying that as well. Like, you don't necessarily need a reliance on perks to hold your own. Now, maybe on killers, sometimes it feels that way. But I do think that at least if you're learning a killer, going perkless is just going to be better for you. But that has more so to do with learning killer, understanding killer, and stuff like that. But I wouldn't say that it's that impactful on Survivor, because with or without perks, you're still doing the same thing. Like, you're not, you know, the only difference is you're getting an additional speed boost that maybe you shouldn't have gotten anyway. That ends up leading to an artificial chase extension that ends up leading to a pallet that you can just use and all this other type of stuff, which to me, I don't really think is really skill expressive. Like, you're just kind of running from point A to point B with a little bit of speed. Like, to me, that isn't really, okay, I timed it correctly, I'm going to make it here because my pathing was good or whatever. At least from my perspective. They say it's exhausting, that feeling like every match is an exam, but yeah, it really depends on what you're talking about. They say it isn't a skill issue post. It says the truth. It feels way more stressful to play Survivor somehow, which is, I think this is just kind of out of the blue, like, you know, more of the like farting in your face, gaslighting that they do to each other all the time. Within the Survivor community, and like, I know that a lot of cases are gonna have like people just farting in each other's faces all day long and huffing the fumes, and then they like truly believe in their minds that they're like going around and thinking that, oh my god, Survivor is so hard. It's like, it's really not that difficult. Like, and mainly because of the fact that like you're not necessarily in chase all game. Like, you're in chase, I would say 30% of the time. If the killer is smart, he's not going to be chasing you all day long, and if he is, that's your opportunity to learn. You go, I haven't looped Orman before, let me see what I can pull off. Let's just see what we can do. But their perspective is like, nah, I gotta last for 5 gens because I saw my favorite creator do it. And it's like, no, that's not how it works. Like, you're not, like 9 times out of 10 they're going against somebody who's brand new. Like, of course they're gonna get all these crazy techs off and all these clips, because it's like, yeah, like, the player's new. Like, they're really gonna understand how to play, and more mistakes come out of people who don't know how to play. So this is just BS. Like, we already know that's BS. They say, I've been playing DVD since 2018. It was hard killer main back then. Started playing Survivor in 2019. I play both sides. Feels way more stressful playing Survivor. So that just means you just became a Survivor main at that point, because if you're putting that much pressure on yourself with Survivor, that means that you're maining Survivor and you're thinking you need to win games, and it's like, you don't. Like, you don't have to necessarily do that. It's all a mentality that you're applying pressure to yourself, like that there is no reason for you to do that. You know what I mean? Not to mention, killer feels a lot easier now, which is strange. But it says, remembering, I don't know where that came from. So killer feels easier now when gens are faster than ever, or heal speeds are faster than ever. I don't know what it came from with that, but whatever. They say, I know a lot has changed. Remembering how the game used to be makes a difference and ever really obvious. What are you talking about? They're saying, I'm not saying killer takes no effort, but because trust me, it absolutely does. But as a Survivor, it feels like one mistake in a loop, doing the wrong gen or unhooking too early can ruin the whole match. Yeah, it's just a bunch of more, you know, more echo chamber farting in your face shit. Like, we don't want to deal with that. Don't listen to that nonsense, bro. Because it's factually disproven. And it's based off feelings. Like, you're just coming off of random stuff. Like, there's no evidence to prove that somehow killer's easier. Like, low tiers and mid tiers and even like some of the higher tiers are still like just absolute buns. And the S tiers are still just unchanged because they're the only ones that can hold their own in this current game. So let's see what this one says. They say, yeah, that's about the essence of it. People wondering why Survivors hammering gens when it's harder to interact with the stronger killers. But the funny part is that they do this no matter what killer it is. They hammer out gens no matter what killer. They could be going against Ghostface, Skull Merchant, Trapper, whatever. You know, and then they'll so pump out gens like their lives depend on it. And it's like, yeah, like, you know, but they claim, oh my god, we only see Blight and Nurse and Kenneki. It's like, which is like S tier, A tier, and it's like, yeah, like, why do you think? Like, speed is always going to be better when the gens are flying. Even the low tiers get punched in the stomach because they try to, like, the people try to play the character, and then they're getting 4 gens done in under, like, you know, what, under 3 minutes. You're like, what the hell is that? What are they? So then that person is probably gonna go, you know what, I'm not gonna play, like, you know, C tier McGee, I'm gonna play Blight now. Like, why else would you do that? And then here comes the BS take. It says mobility really needs to be toned down. Huh? So yeah, so you want you want mobility toned down so you can rush gens even quicker? Okay, cool. Just making sure. Like, what are we talking about? Tunneling is out of control. That's all you needed to know. The second you see anything that has to do with mobility and tunneling in the same paragraph, you're like, yeah, it's just a bunch of BS slop. Like, you don't want to listen to it. So it says syringes and styptics are gone now too. Well deserved, by the way. Like, those are completely overtuned. I don't know what the hell they were like. Like, and I've made this comparison because here comes Fog Vials coming into the conversation. Like, here we are to introduce ourselves. Like, no. Look at that. Showed potential for countering the likes of Nurse. You counter Nurse by getting better at the goddamn game. That's already going to be number one. Now, if it's just like a super like strong Nurse, you know, good luck. But on average, like somebody trying to learn Nurse, get better. Secondly, when bringing up Fog Vials, because I see this a lot, right? Bringing up Fog Vials, one thing that I always bring up is, why does an item need to be as broken as the medkits were, right? Why does it need to be as so unbelievably strong as toolboxes and medkits to even be considered usable? That's my question. And to me, that tells me a lot about the survivors, like, you know, that are, you know, spouting out this kind of perspective, because it's not all survivors. It's just like like these type of people that are extremely entitled, trying to you know, get every single killer nerf just because they don't like killers. And the fact of the matter is, why is it that the item needs to be so unbelievably broken to be considered usable? Which, like as I was about to say, goes to show you where their mindset is. They're so obsessed with trying to use the most broken shit in the game that anything that involves fun, creativity, interesting gameplay, because I thought the Fog Vial was ridiculously broken on the start, because you're literally removing all visuals, all sound. They were literally like 4 people running it. You pretty much can't even finish a chase at that time. Many different videos showing evidence, like showing like how broken the item was. They just kept plugging their ears and saying they don't see that somehow, when there's like 10 different videos from like how many people each saying, look at how bad this is. I've covered like at least, I think I must have made like 5 or so, just showing like just different examples, like from my own gameplay, other people's perspectives. Like the Fog Vial was ridiculous. Even with the Fog Vial now, I said, why aren't people not at least attempting to use this to have fun? Like, you could do interesting things with this thing. But because the people that are complaining are popping a smoke in the middle, like in front of people's face, and then getting confused as to why they're somehow being spotted and chased down immediately, it's like, because you're not using it correctly. And I even explained in that video, like, that I discussed the Fog Vial. It's like, we realize like that smoke bombs in any game, you know what I mean, it has a lot to do with cutting off viewpoints. It doesn't have to, you don't pop into somebody's face, you know, in a game and expect to like get away or to make something happen with that. Like, that's just not how that usually works. But either way. And then, as you can see, more crying, they go, when a survivor has a promising tool. It's not a promising tool, it's an overtuned item. Like, there's a difference. Like, promising tool. Like, get the hell out of here. It's ridiculous, bro. Doesn't help the content creators' spaces win rate this optimal, encouraging to try hard in public lobbies. No, that's just not really true. Start allowing me to earn wars in custom so I can enjoy what I love about the game with friends instead of dealing with Blycool Nurse or worrying about friends making mistakes to cause snowballing a match. So then that sounds like a personal problem, because if you're sitting around going, wow, I love this game, but I hate going against that, it's like, then you don't love the game then. You want to win so unbelievably bad when you're playing the side that isn't supposed to be having powers anyway. It's kind of ridiculous. So I'm just like, I don't know. Like, you can't listen to people like these, man. Like, they want the game to be so survivor-sided, and to continue to be survivor-sided as long as it has been. It's ridiculous. You can't listen to people like that. They don't have the right mentality to, you know, for the game's health and the game and the best interest of everyone in mind. This person says, I find personally the game has a lot more forgiving as killer as opposed to survivor. But considering this 4-1, that makes sense. When you misplay, it buys time for multiple. When you misplay a survivor, your teammates can still pick up the slack. I personally disagree. Like, it depends on the killer. Like, if you're playing like a high tier, as I've even stated, I don't even think high tier should even be included in conversations like these, because a lot of things won't affect them. Whether it be bad perks and chaos shuffle, they're not affected. Whether it be making a mistake, they're not as affected, right? Compared to the mid tiers, the low tiers, and even some of the A tiers. Like, why are we not focusing on those characters? Kind of crazy. This person says, are you playing solo queue? For most of the killer roster in solo queue, the game is exactly as you described, but Swift, on the other hand, is a complete breeze, or you and your friends can even goof off and still escape. So this is what happens when all balance decisions are based around trapping solo queue into matches while prioritizing Swift gameplay, and what killers can kind of disagree. To an extent. I mean, you don't have to play solo queue if you don't necessarily want to. I always think it's a bit of a choice to do that. Like, you know, you just kind of have to work around people's schedules and things like that. But I wouldn't, you know, you don't necessarily have to play it. You know, it's not very enjoyable regardless anyway, so, you know, killer is unforgiving when it's a Swift, which I know that people on this forum love to claim that sweaty Swifts are somehow rare, but they aren't. They're common. Otherwise, the majority of killers would be miserable and playing miserably, which, yeah, like a based take. We'd love to see it. This person, which we expect to see another like survivor sided perspective here. This person, which once again, you know, they're quoting the other person, which is pretty base. They said, I literally play with my friends and a lot of them are lower than casual. Some of my friends are so bad at survivor that they run into walls and corners all the time. Yet in those matches, we still almost always escape just because of our communication. Playing in a 4-man Swift is infinitely easier and less stressful than playing in even the best solo queue match. You know it, I know it, everyone knows it. I completely agree. Communication completely like destroys the balance of the game. They say I mostly play solo queue. Now and then I do play as a duo. I mean, Jesus Christ, a run-on sentence of run-on sentences. I'm not about to read all that just because, but they're basically saying that it can be a challenge, but you know, duo is far stronger than solo for us. Whatever. Irrelevant. Versus I play solo queue a lot, majority of my gameplay. I enjoy playing alone, interacting with random players. Perception of Swift is twisted to the generic opinion. It doesn't break the game. What? He says all you have to do is look at the comp string. You can't, hold on. You can't sit here and compare comp to regular queue. Comp has a bunch of rule sets that prevent map selections, perk selections, and duplicate perks, I believe, as well. So what are we? What? Like we what? What? we can't go. Yo. Like, oh my god. It hurts. Oh my god, it hurts my brain. Like we can't sit here and compare that. That's apples to oranges, brother. Like that. Like, what are we talking about? I think your perception is what I hate when they have stupid statements like this with a smiley face, because you know they said the most dumbass, egregious bullshit you've ever seen in your entire life. So ridiculous, bro. You're comparing comp to regular queue, like dog. Like what are you talking about? Huh? Like, bro, even in comp they don't let you jump off hooks if I'm not mistaken. So what are you talking about? Like, what? Like, there is no goddamn way, brother. There's no goddamn way. This person, yep, shout out to Rocco45, bro, because he goes, yeah, duo is so closest to solo queue till you get 2 other randoms, but overall still easier than solo queue. It's just crazy that in 2026, some people are trying to gaslight as if playing with friends is easier than solo queue, like this person. Thank you. Yes, thank you. We have people with actual brain power in this damn community. It's so amazing. I love it. I just love it. And they sit here like, oh, I posted my stats. Like, that doesn't mean anything. Like, the second you compare regular Q to comp, you lost all credibility. Like, get that shit up out of here. Like, what are you talking about, brother? You brought up comp as a way to say that Swift isn't broken, yet comp survivors in DVD have hefty rules that they have to abide by. Which is very true. That was my point. They said, I think your perspective is you love Swift and how easy it is, so you come here to shill for it and to stifle discussion about what would be beneficial for overall game health. So really, I don't see the need to converse with you any longer since your viewpoint is in bad faith. So then bro just says, why do I have a random number percentage? I'm like, okay, congratulations. It doesn't mean anything. But bro makes up some nonsense. Like, this is what I'm saying when you're interacting with people in this community. Every time it's, oh, I don't think you're willing to learn or think about people who are on outright tryharding to win. Like, they just make up some narrative in their mind to try to say you're wrong. But it's like, like bro has evidence. Bro's like, dude, you brought up comp when it's a completely different game. Oh, but you're wrong. And then they just bring up some random screenshot. It's like, bro, what are you talking about? Overalls contradict what you say, and this is one of the examples. But if your escape rate is at 38% for the if we're assuming this is like not even, it's like 40%. So if your escape rate is at 38% according to the DVD stats, you're pretty much just like hitting like the solo queue threshold, it seems like. Like, I don't really understand what that has anything to do with the standpoint like that bro has. Like, that it's still like, bro isn't like, this Rocco guy still isn't wrong. Like, he still isn't wrong. Like, you're just saying, oh, but you know, I have an average escape rate. Like, okay, congratulations. Like, that doesn't really change anything. And I have to agree. They say you stating the game that I'm not paying attention to the state of the game when your entire point lacks or actual state of the game. Very true. Yeah, I mean, plus behavior like rarely ever drops any data for us that we can. So that's what I'm saying. You can't discuss anything with these people, bro. They have no idea what they're talking about. But either way, I'm gonna go ahead and end it here, I believe, because I think that offered enough of an interesting perspective here. I'm curious to hear what you guys think. Let me know in the comment section, hit the like button, and also subscribe for other videos like this. And if you really want to support the channel, consider hitting, you know, becoming a member on the YouTube, Patreon, or you could even become a sub on Twitch to be able to have your name read off at the end of every video. I'll see you guys in the next one. All right, let's go ahead and read off our members from Patreon. Pro King 101, YouTube members: Cargan Falcon, Evil Blade, Cap Courteous, WTF You're Not J-Lo, Evil Peach, Cozy Bozy, Theo Endire, Dole Whip, Noxus, Zero Mocker, Jack, Christian, and Crow Vader. And for the Twitch, we have Final Girl Bunny, Leona Art, Zazabu, Evil Blade, Danica, Crow Vader, Cake is a Road, Zeneron, Ginsburg, Mr. Morik, Kevin, Zero Mocker, Ashai Boo, and Gryffindor. Appreciate you guys supporting. Really means a lot. If you want to become a member, you can go ahead and join through Patreon or YouTube members, or even sub on Twitch. See you guys in the next one.